Recording session. David Kelly, he's a general manager for AppSumo, running the SendFox and the KingSumo and FAM and Sumo.com. So all this is a original AppSumo product, correct?
Yep, that's exactly right. So I'm GM of AppSumo Originals, we call it. And just like you said, Jen, that's King Sumo, that's
Yeah.
SendFox, as well as Sumo.com and FAM.
Yeah, and my name is Gennady Batrakov, and I'm a founder of Blogly. I would love to talk about the AppSumo, and as much as I want to know about AppSumo, I believe my customers want to know everything about AppSumo. So we're gonna talk about the SendFox, about the KingSumo, about your personal experience. You tell me your insights, so I want to know everything, and it will be, I bet, it will be interesting for everybody.
I can't wait. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. It'll be so interesting to share both how we've built some of our originals products, as well as how any SaaS founder builds a product, or every entrepreneur or solopreneur or small business. There's a lot of us out there, especially with some of the things happening in the world. So I'm very excited to share what I can.
Yeah, yeah, and especially today is this COVID. Everybody
Yep.
works from home. There is a lots of opportunity for people who are having a certain software that feel the need for to work from home. Email marketing is one of them.
Yep.
Tell me a few words. I mean, tell me something about the SendFox. What
Yeah.
I mean, tell me the details. I've been looking for so many times. I tried many different applications, and
I'd love to.
I know how difficult it is to run the email campaign, especially like a cold email is like a totally
Right.
different level. And you've done the cold email, I believe, right?
Yep. Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because what's fascinating kind of about how we build products at Sumo Group, which includes AppSumo and includes some of our sister companies, is we create things that are from our own need. And historically, to this point, you think about it, AppSumo was created because Chief Sumo Noah Kagan wanted better deals on products. And then when we were growing AppSumo, we're like, okay, how do we build AppSumo? And this was years and years ago. How do we build AppSumo to the level that we want? So then we started doing giveaways internally. And then we decided to release that tool that we were using publicly and call it King Sumo. And that happened also with sumo.com. We were trying to grow email lists and we are like, okay, let's build this internal solution and then let's release it publicly. And that's most recently happened with SendFox, where Chief Sumo Noah was sick of using MailChimp and Aweber and the costs
Yeah.
and the lack of deliverability, the awful support. And we wanted a better, simpler email tool that competed with those at a much lower price and worked better. So when I think about the products that we've created, when I give advice to a lot of founders and entrepreneurs who are getting started, it's really thinking about how can I solve my own problem and how can I solve my own problem well. And that historically for us has led us to the products that we've created as part of AppSumo Originals.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I've been dealing with this pain of having a multiple system. I changed
Yep.
myself maybe 10, maybe 15 on different email platforms. It's not easy to do the emails. And especially, it's not just
Right.
about, say, sending the content. It makes it, deliverability is one thing, and it's important. The also the content itself. And you've been in the content, you are a marketer yourself,
Yeah.
and you can tell me I mean, what the difficulties you had when you started. I mean, how it's I would reward it. Say how difficult to learn for some people to become better at email marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've noticed historically, and we still actually notice this today, that email marketing is one of the most effective marketing
Hmm.
channels. And like you kind of alluded to, Jen, I come from a marketing background. So I've done everything from $50,000 a month AdWords and Facebook ads budgets about 10 years ago, right? When that was first starting out, to some more guerrilla marketing tactics and a lot of things in between. And the one thing I keep coming back to for so many brands or small businesses or entrepreneurs or solopreneurs is the power of email marketing as a marketing channel. And one of the big reasons why is we can set up these automation campaigns and just let it run in our sleep. And unlike advertisements or unlike sponsors, we don't have to pay. We just set it up and we let it run indefinitely. So email marketing has historically been such a huge part of AppSumo, of Sumo.com, of Sumo
Yeah.
Group in general. And now we're trying to bring that more to the masses, but we recommend everyone gets a new email newsletter. Whether you're just starting out and you're building a personal brand or whether you're trying to build your business, it's a really, really valuable marketing channel that we've noticed some insane ROI on compared to other channels.
Yeah, and especially you combine with your other marketing techniques like giveaway.
Exactly.
And I know I read the ebook, whatever, there was a PDF, was a ebook provided by No, and I
Yeah.
read that how he started it and what actually pulled up the first when he started the product on AppSumo. The giveaway was one of the main component. Can
Yeah.
you tell me how the giveaway can be utilized?
Yeah. And I'm glad to talk about this because what I think is interesting is giveaways have transitioned over time and changed over time as far as how to make them effective.
Mm-hmm.
So you look 10 years ago and you could just run a standard giveaway. Like one of the famous giveaways that we ran as part
Dropbox,
of AppSumo, the Dropbox. Yeah, win Dropbox for life. And that got us hundreds of thousands of email leads, which is
unbelievable.
insanity.
Such a cool idea.
Now, giveaways got really popular and then they got super not popular. And now they're making somewhat of a resurgence. And this is another thing that I recommend a lot of new businesses do. And it actually can scale with successful businesses because AppSumo runs giveaways every single month and they're an 8-figure business. And they're running a giveaway right now, actually, for Black Friday preparation. But
Yeah.
what works really well with giveaways now, and if you think about this as a new business, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find marketing channels that are very effective and that give a great ROI and that you don't have to spend a ton of time on. And you also don't have to spend a ton of money on. So when we think about many of us as founders starting out, and this has been true of the products I've built from the beginning too, we don't have a massive budget. So we can't just drop hundreds of dollars a day on Facebook ads.
Yes.
So email marketing helps us with that. And then we think about giveaways. What works successfully with giveaways a lot of times now is I have a product that fits within the demographic that I want to attract. I
Mm-hmm.
find partners. So I find other complementary products online
Mm-hmm.
and I find 3 to 5 people who can join my giveaway and give away a free product and then help me cross promote it.
Ah.
So if we think about the ROI and the cost of that, it's the cost of my product, which is negligible.
Mm-hmm.
And then so many of these other companies, it's like, okay, I'll give you a $20 product if you promise to mention me on the giveaway page and cross promote me in your emails. So it's negligible for them. And then we're getting a ton of leads for a very, very low cost. And we have noticed giveaways are just an insanely effective way to grow. And the new trend are those partner giveaways. So as giveaways make a comeback, partner giveaways seem to be kind of the golden ticket.
Yeah, talking about giveaway, the latest one, what is it? Tesla?
Yeah, so this one's interesting.
Is this for real? You tell me, is this for real?
It is. And what I mention as a word of caution, because a lot of people hear me saying this about giveaways. Oh, it's so simple. And then they look at the AppSumo giveaway and they're like, wait a minute, you're giving away a Tesla and the equivalent of $60,000 worth of prizes. This is not a simple giveaway and
Yeah.
this is not easy. And I agree. So this giveaway is pretty big, the one we're doing for AppSumo. It is real. So we are really giving away a Tesla and some other prizes. But what's important to note about this is giveaways can scale with where you are in your business. So for an 8-figure business like AppSumo, giving away a Tesla is very much within kind of their marketing ROI and their marketing
Yeah.
spend, and it's totally affordable. But we've also had so many people run very small giveaways, giving away products worth $20 or $30, super affordable, get a ton of leads, in many ways, an equal amount of leads as we're getting on this AppSumo giveaway. And we see that with the 140,000 users we have across King Sumo, there's been a lot of creativity for smaller products and a lot of success. So
Mm.
seeing something like the Tesla giveaway, don't think that you need to give away Tesla to have a success because we've seen firsthand with the data that that is not true.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes can be even a little thing that can work just as good on a giveaway.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. So now talking about King Suma, can you tell a little bit about that product? I mean, what does it do? Why is this so effective?
Sure. So King Sumo was another product that we made, like you were saying, Jen, because of the Dropbox giveaway years and years ago. We saw so much success with an internal giveaway we were running. We were like, oh my gosh, we have to release this tool that we're using to create giveaways publicly. And so we did, and we came out with a WordPress version. And then since then, we've kind of evolved it into also including a web app version. And the way King Sumo works and the way these giveaways work is it essentially turns your entrants in your list and people who find the giveaway into salespeople for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important as a new business. I want to be able to leverage the growth automatically and without me being involved as much as I possibly can. And that's the ideal for any business as they grow. How
Yeah,
can I remove my time and still grow the business?
yeah, the more
So the way it turns the salespeople into salespeople, the entrance into salespeople, is as soon as I enter the giveaway, I basically am presented with a few options to share the giveaway and increase my chances to win. So I enter a giveaway, I get one entry. I share the giveaway with a friend, and a friend enters a giveaway, I get three entries. I complete some bonus actions, I get additional entries. So for increasing my chances to win as an entrant, I'm excited because I can win a Tesla, or I can win whatever I want at a higher percentage of odds. And then as the giveaway creator, I'm also excited that people are sharing it because that means I have to do less work.
yeah. What's the difference between, say, you have another product is quite interesting. So Suma and King Suma. What's the difference
Yeah.
between them?
Yeah, we have so many products, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I'm
tough
just
to keep
looking
track.
at
It's tough for
my
even me
guys
to
are
keep
like
track.
crossing so many products. Yes.
Right. So Sumo, which is just sumo.com, is our email lead capture tool. So very similar to Privy, very similar to a lot of these other tools you might see out there. It's our version of that.
Mm-hmm.
And sumo.com is something that we use across a lot of our brands for pop-ups, for inline forms, for sidebar units, for things like that to try to get email leads.
This,
And again, this goes to trying to automate the business as you're thinking about growing. And foundationally, it's so important to do this earlier because even if I'm brand new and I put a website up, I want to be able to convert any traffic, especially when I'm starting out, so that I can start from the ground up with a strong foundation. And converting any traffic to my website often means getting them into an email list so I can convert them later.
this is
It's
a
very
WordPress
easy.
product, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's WordPress and it can actually go anywhere. So you can put the code on any type of website, but it does have a WordPress plugin component in
Mm-hmm.
addition to just standard JavaScript code that you can put on any type of website. And it helps you create those pop-ups and those inline forms and those banners and other things to get people who come to your website to convert into email
Nice.
leads.
And I noticed that you mentioned here is that Tony Robbins is one of the customers. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So historically, he has been. I'll have to check again before I say for 100% certain if he still is. But a lot of really interesting people use our products. We have Tony Robbins. We have a brand by Ryan Holiday and Casey Neistat
Wow.
using SendFox. We have Yoga with Adrian, Jeff
Mary
Gordon Racing
Forleo,
using
right?
King Sumo.
Wow.
Marie
So Tony
Forleo was
Robbins,
another.
Tony Robbins is one of my heroes. I mean, I read his all his books. I know him. I mean, I know him as far as just reading about him,
Sure.
and I've watched all his webinars and all the videos and recordings. And some
Oh,
like
wow.
20 plus years ago, I bought it on the tapes. Was one
Oh,
of
you're an original fan.
Papa.
That's
Yeah, yeah. It
interesting.
was like in the late 90s. I
Yeah.
was actually was a big fan since then. My
Wow.
handbook on my desk is a Tony Robbins, and I give away friends. I give away the copies of his book, Awaken the Giant Within. I love his what he's preaching and how he teaching people to run the mind. Right, this is important. How to you run the mind.
Yeah. That's fantastic. He's a very impressive individual. And
Did you meet
we're
him
glad to have
personally?
him and,
Did you
and
meet him
really anyone
personally?
using our products.
Did you meet him personally?
No, I've never met him personally, but like you, I've seen a lot of his material and I agree he's really impressive. And I
Impressive.
think to your point, Jen, what's really interesting to highlight for a lot of people listening is someone like Tony Robbins or someone that focuses kind of on the mental modeling so critical for us as entrepreneurs and startup founders.
Yeah,
There's so much hyper focus on productivity and the end result and the product. But
yeah.
if we want to build successful businesses, what we've noticed as a team is we need to make sure our team members are taken care of. We need to make sure that we're taking breaks, that we're getting our minds right. and
Yeah.
kind of thinking
This
as integrally as possible.
this is one of the not an easy part. I mean, the taking a break is
Right.
it's been for me was first very difficult. But yeah, I know I need to find the time sometimes to take a break. My mind is, I mean, sometimes I think it's a kind of part of my ADD working. I mean, when I stuck
Yeah.
on something, I can't take my mind off. But I need to learn this stuff. Uh, so as
Yeah.
far as AppSumo, I want interesting. I myself, like I said, my app is also Bloodly on the AppSumo, and
Hmm.
I've been there for 2 months. It's in the marketplace. I know it's your new place, a new creation. The marketplace is fairly new,
Yeah.
and there's different deals. You set up it differently, different structure, but it's kind of not visible to the like all the everyday people who coming into. So it's kind of a little bit hidden because you have a
Yep.
featured listing too, right? But tell me more. Was the I mean I understand the differences, but people may not understand what's the differences between marketplace and the regular featured listing.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really interesting question. And I can speak to this at a very high level. But I would encourage anyone who has questions about it to email support@appsumo.com. And the reason why is because our originals division is a little bit separate from the normal AppSumo kind of day to day.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're part of AppSumo, I don't see all the things about appsumo.com as much as other people do. But I can say at a high level, I think what we're really excited about with AppSumo is how can we help the underdogs win? And that's true of all Sumo Group products. So you have these behemoth companies like
Yeah.
MailChimp and all these others that in many ways uh, just kind of are mature as businesses and doing different types of things. But then you have these people coming in, these entrepreneurs, these really creative people during this crazy COVID time of trying to solve all these new issues that are the disruptors. They're
Yeah.
trying to do some really interesting things. But the problem as a disruptor, and I felt this when we were trying to grow SendFox as well as King Sumo,
Mm-hmm.
is you're starting from zero, right?
Yeah.
Every business is starting from zero in some capacity. So then the question is, I have this great idea, I have this great product, I'm working my butt off. How do I grow it? And Marketplace for AppSumo is one of our solutions, I would say, that we're really excited about going into the future, trying to get more entrepreneurs, trying to get more underdogs,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get more content creators to showcase their products to a larger audience so that they can be successful, so that they can grow and they can create a side hustle and they can do these things that they really want to do.
Yeah, you have. This is. I mean, I myself experiencing the. I mean, I'm witnessing all the what kind of work goes behind it, and because I'm having the
Yeah.
app on AppSumo is great, and I have so many people ask me about how did you get there, what does it take, and one thing I can just tell them that I remember when I was filing my application, it was a few months ago, and it was in the summer, and I filed my application. By the time I finished, I submitted the application. Tells me, oh, thank you very much, and you are the one of the. I mean, so many people we have running through the site, filing application. If you pass through, that means like you almost like got in the Harvard University because the acceptance rate
Yeah.
is about 4%. And oh, jeez, I was thinking this is a hard. And then I got the fine call, and it was great. But yes, you do have a lot of applicants, and there's a lot of people asking me about what's the deal in Epsuma, how to get there, and this is. You have probably the you are actually number one in this for SaaS businesses who starting out, and you just
Mm,
pointing out this is so hard to get to the market. So many
it is.
people, so many small companies like myself, we develop in like we have a small group, we have a few people, we develop in software for content marketing. So to get and compete with the huge companies like even say Upwork and Fiverr, and well, we're trying to do that too. But yes, it's not an easy thing, and you are
Yeah.
helping out people like myself. That's truly a huge help for us. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. We're glad to do it. And it's so noteworthy what you said about creating businesses is hard. And it's funny because everyone thinks this just kind of externally about other people where they're like, yeah, I can conceptualize creating businesses is hard. But then when they do it, they're like, man, why isn't this easier? This is just the worst business ever. I'm not able to build this. And it's really easy to get defeated about our own products. So, my advice to so many people out there is what we've historically noticed is 1 to 2 years is a very normal time to get a business going to the level that many of us want to get it going to. And that doesn't mean it just goes from 0 to 100 all of a sudden. There are benchmarks along the way, getting the first customer that you don't know, getting the first customer you do know, actually, even before that, getting 3 customers, getting 10 customers. But it is not an easy process to create a product. And I feel for everyone that's doing it because I've done it now twice.
I tell you my
Yeah.
story. I mean, I've been in this business. I mean, I've been on my own since 2017 when I quit Intel. I was working for
Oh,
Intel,
wow.
and was, yes, comfortable job, was a well paid job, but well, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so, and I had ideas in my mind, and I already for 2 years I've been trying to work on a like at midnight and working, burning a candle, working
Yeah.
with the developers offshore, trying to build a product. So I did build in last 5 years. I did build 7 apps, fully featured apps. None of them went through because of the
Mm,
hard competition. I did have some customers, but it was really hard to get through because of,
yeah,
first you stumble with the marketing. Marketing takes a lot of effort and resources, and
it
it's
does.
not easy. Your site has AppSumo has about what? It's like 1.5 million users per month traffic.
It's a lot. I don't know those numbers off the top of my head, but I can say it is a lot.
Yeah, so a couple million customers traffic, and you do have
Sure.
hardcore fans who constantly eyeball. They watching the AppSumo deals. Every app that coming out being reviewed all the time. There are groups on the Facebook, and I learned myself. I didn't realize. I thought there's a Facebook just for the like retirees when they go to restaurant. They talk and chit chat about the meals, what they ate in the restaurant. No, it's not. There's a huge business community on the
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
groups, and they are actually even name themselves like AppSumo deals. They look in the SaaS deals, and they're constantly
Yep.
looking at the what's new coming out on AppSumo. Of course, you do have competitors as well, and some of the
Yep.
competitors there they're trying to do pretty similar what you do, but you are the first on the mark. You put in there what the model should be for the bringing the people like us, like small SaaS runners. I mean,
Yeah.
trying to bring us to the market. Originally, I know that Noah set up this model. That was back what, like 2010, 2012. It was like 10 years
Yeah.
ago, right?
Yep. Yep. It was right about 10 years ago that AppSumo was created, I believe, and all of our products since then. We've typically created a couple products every couple years or so, or something around that cadence. But what's cool, and I would like to just point out about what you said, because I think it's really interesting, is when we think about products, what's so important is to think about what makes us different and what makes us special. And
Yeah,
at a high level, there are 3 things that make any different business different and special and kind of noteworthy. One is we're the best in a segment, right? So any business is the best in a
yeah,
segment.
true, for
The
sure.
second is the first in a segment. So you start to be the first, kind of like the iPhone was for smartphones.
Mhm.
And along with being the best, these can, of course, cross and have multiple elements. And then the third is being the least expensive,
Yeah,
right? Being the most affordable. So when we think about our originals products and even going back to AppSumo, AppSumo was really the first in its industry. And it shows what power there is to be the first in industry. Because now, as you were saying, Jen, we have all these kind of copycats
right.
that are out there doing what AppSumo did. And then we think about our other products. So SendFox, we tried to differentiate, and we're trying to differentiate with being specific to content creators. So being the best for content creators. And then we're also going for least expensive. So we're trying 2 different differentiators there. But AppSumo, when we think back to the early days, being the first really, really helped.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. What is the say talking about the again? Come back a little bit about the email marketing, because I feel like myself that this is a number one tool for any like starting out the growth business
Yes.
trying to pick up the business off the ground. This email marketing has to be a primary tool. Is that correct?
Yeah. I 100% agree. If I could agree more than 100%, I would, if that was technically numerically
Yeah,
possible.
yeah, for sure. Now, talking about the building the content. Now, one thing is having a platform
Yeah.
to mail out. Can you tell a few words of my advice? Building the content for small business. What kind of effort? What to focus on? How much? I mean,
Yep.
what to do about the content? Because many of us, like I myself, I'm not a native English speaker. Even though I can write in English fine, great, but
Right.
sometimes, and besides, I'm not the content marketer too. So hiring content marketer, not hiring, try to do it myself, being original. I don't know. It's kind of all the dilemma I'm constantly having in my mind. Latest when I was running the latest my emails, I decided, well, I just do it myself. I just write what I think is right,
Yeah.
and I just send out my latest updates, the new newsletters, just simply talking about new features, new improvement, and just even talking about myself when the first people sign up. So, what your advice
Yes.
would be on that?
I love that. I love that. And I think a lot of what you said is kind of how I view it too. So there are really three steps that I recommend for everyone. And I'll go through each of these three steps at a high level. So the first step is making sure that you have those lead gen forms we talked about earlier in this call.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a website, putting a pop-up, putting a in uh like an in browser kind of scroll bar type thing or whatever types of things you want to put to try to convert those visitors, those website visitors into email leads. And the reason why that's important is because if you're not getting email leads, if you're not getting these email subscribers, you have no one to email. So
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you're sending the best emails in the world if there's no one to see it. So
that's
first making sure that happens. And now the second thing that happens is I would make sure to have a welcome email automated. So think about your automation next. So
mhm.
as soon as someone joins your list, a very simple welcome email and a welcome email that we're actually using for SendFox right now and we've used for other products is, hi, welcome. What are you hoping to learn? What are you hoping this product does for you? So a big fault for a lot of people out there, a lot of entrepreneurs or new email marketers is they're like, oh my gosh, I have to spend all this time and write the perfect email and come up with the perfect content and make it look amazing. When
Mm.
in reality, what we're going through in general in the world is kind of an authenticity crisis. So the benefit to that is we can be very authentic, very simple. And this is something we intentionally do with our brands where we have humor, we keep it simple. But for SendFox, you come in and we send you a 3 sentence email. Hi, welcome. What are you hoping to learn? Let me know. Thanks. And it's that simple. And the automation really helps. And the third thing I recommend
Mm-hmm.
is when you think about your next step, you want to start thinking about monthly to bi-weekly or even weekly campaign emails.
Mm-hmm.
So, how can I send these scheduled emails to my audience? And one of the common questions we hear from people is, I just don't know what to email. So, again, you can send an email that's like, hey, I just want to know how your week is going. What are you reading? What are you hoping to learn? Or you can send an email that says, hey, here's all the interesting stuff I've been reading. Or you can send a sale for your product, or you can talk about new product features. There's an endless amount of things to send an email. But what we're really hoping for, and the real power of email marketing is it's kind of planting a tree and watching it blossom into, let's say, like an apple tree where you know the fruits of your labor are going to be rewarded down the line. So when I start email marketing, what I'm trying to do is, A, am I making sure that I'm getting email subscribers for all my hard work? Am I making
Yeah,
sure that all my blog posts for all my SEO work, that when people come to the site, I'm converting them into email subscribers so they don't just come to the site and then disappear forever. They come to their site and they give me an email address so we can stay in
right.
touch.
Yeah,
And then the second thing is, am I making sure that as soon as they join, they're getting a welcome so that they know my voice, so that they recognize my voice, my brand voice, and they know to look in their email right away and they know that I'll be in touch. And then the third thing is, I want to make sure to keep in touch regularly so that they don't forget about me,
that's
so
right.
that I'm able to communicate with them. And then as my brand grows and my email list grows and grows and grows, I can start to increasingly leverage it for pitching my product, for doing, let's say, very targeted, very kind of
Mhm.
specific affiliate offers,
Yeah.
for having sponsorships on my newsletter because I have a good amount of subscribers. There's a lot of paths that someone can take, but those three steps are kind of the critical steps to take at
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, 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 exactly. I agree 100% because that you just mentioned about the originality crisis. Very
Yeah.
good expression. I love that. The my app is about the original content, and I specifically mention everywhere that writing the content because my app helps to write the content for bloggers. Simple.
Awesome.
So we help to automate blog posts. We help to write the content. We keep in all the notes and all the. It's just basically replacement for Google Docs and the Microsoft Word files.
Yeah.
Instead, they can use Bloggly. But my primary intent, and I had been asked so many times, where is the how I can spin the content, and my approach is very simple. There is no way you can compete today with
Mm,
spin content. There is no way. There is only one way is to compete with originality. There is a tons of content out there. There is
yeah.
so much been written, but the only way to write the content that will be readable by people is to write your own. Even if it's maybe you don't have to be an English speaker. Even if there's sometimes the content may not be like perfectly read. You can see that it was written maybe not the English speaker, but
Yep.
it's fine as long as you provide the value and the people see your effort. They can read it and they can actually stick with you. They may come back, and if you put the value in, the value what it counts.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And that's a good reminder. It does take time.
it
It
does
does
take
take
time.
time. And laying
Yeah.
the foundation with one's email marketing, or really any marketing channel, is trying to strategically do it as best we can so that as it takes time, we at least have our processes set up correctly with the forms on our page or the pop-ups on our page or the automated series
I
to make
just
sure that
want
we're getting the best results.
I just want to mention about that. I'm going
Yeah.
right now through all this. I'm in process of going on the front page, and I can tell you have the complete layout everywhere. You spread. I mean, you put everything in the documents. It's all documented. You just read it in the follow step. Read in the follow step. Really, really cool. Really cool. So
Yeah.
everything is under control. I like the organization. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, we live and die by organization and by processes at the company. And I think as a company grows, as AppSumo has and our originals division has, we've become more and more process oriented. But in the early days, we, especially with SendFox, because that's what I can speak to more directly, I haven't been involved too much in the day to day of AppSumo.com at least. But for originals like SendFox in the early days, we were just kind of throwing everything against a wall to see what stuck, being as quick as we can, being as nimble as we can. And that's pretty normal. I think a lot of
Yeah.
businesses, as they're new, that's kind of what happens. But as a business grows, there are milestones to hit. And in order for a business to grow past six figures, past seven figures, past eight figures, there are certain things that need to happen. And a lot of those things that happen down the line are process and kind of more strategy. And for some businesses, that's what they'll realize as time goes on. But other businesses, maybe they're just content with being a five, six figure business. And that's great. If
Yeah.
you're a solo founder, that's really all you need in a lot of ways. You don't need to make much more than that to live a great, happy life.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to be another Facebook, right? I mean, but
Right.
yeah. So on the AppSumo, can you tell me a little more about like behind the scenes? I mean, how big is your team? How it's
Sure.
actually how you operate? I mean, are they all there totally remote? Some, I mean, but the headquarters, I believe, in Texas, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So our originals division is about 12 people right now, 10 to 12 people.
Hmm.
We do have some team members that help out in a few different divisions and some other areas. So we have about 10 to 12 people. And a lot of those people, actually, the majority of those people are our support team members for our originals products.
Hmm.
And that is really interesting because as people think about growing a business, support is often kind of forgotten about. But we want to make sure that our product is best represented when talking to our support team and getting answers quickly.
Hmm.
And of course, in an ideal product, there are no bugs or issues and everything is fine. And the support team is just talking about general advice and all these other things. But unfortunately, we live in reality and there are bugs and other things that pop up. So
Hmm.
our originals team is about 11 people. Now our larger AppSumo team, I think at this point is around 60 people. So
Oh,
quite large and growing very, very rapidly. We
oh,
are 100% remote at this point with
oh,
COVID.
yeah.
100% remote. Although we do have a large contingency in our kind of headquartered area of Austin, Texas,
Hmm.
that during normal COVID, non-COVID times, we have an office and we have a lot of people going to the office. But I've been at Sumo Group now for roughly 4 years, and I've been 100% remote. I'm in California. Our Senfox and King Sumo team has been 100% remote the whole time.
Yeah.
So we were very well prepared for this kind of new era that we're living
Yeah.
in, no matter how long it's going on. And I think that's really critical for many businesses to understand that this might go on for a while, and allowing oneself to cut costs by reducing their overhead expenses with an
Yeah.
in-person office or any other in-person expenses, and just going remote is a really smart decision.
Yeah, and possibly they may even change the entire business model for many companies. Because right,
Yeah.
thinking right now with the COVID, that shows that people can work remote. A lot of companies can work remote. Fine, there is
Yeah.
no problem with working remote. And actually, in some cases, actually, there's lots of pluses. And maybe
It's
we'll
true.
see the totally different structure and totally different models after the COVID even will be over. Eventually will be over. It's not gonna be forever, right? Hopefully
Right.
that will go away next year. For now, it's just still keep rising, but it will go away eventually. But it's not gonna
Exactly.
be the same. So a lot of companies
Right.
will go remote. Maybe will stay with remote. Maybe certain percentage always will be remote. To
Yeah.
your experience, say talking about remote work. Um,
Yeah.
to your experience, of course, what's the pluses and minuses on working remote?
It's a really valuable question because there are minuses, right? Everyone talks about the pluses of like, oh
There are
yes, I get
some
to
also
commute
minuses
10
as well.
feet to my bedroom or whatever it is. There are minuses, and I think this is really important to be mindful of because there are growing pains for any type of business in any area, and being mindful of this helps us solve this. So we've noticed, at least historically, some of the pros to start with that. Once you have a really good team who are very much go getters, they do their best work remotely for a lot of people,
Hmm.
a lot of people, because they're comfortable in their own place. They can work at hours they feel most comfortable with. They're not distracted with office chatter. I think what really surprises me about going into an office is it's like, okay, everyone shows up around 10 a.m. and then they're all talking for a little bit. And then they do an hour of work. And then there's a team lunch. And then it's like they do another hour work. And then people start kind of like going into some like
It's pretty
errands they have to
normal
run.
for corporate life.
Yeah. And it's like 2 hours of work get done at most offices, where at home, a lot of us can work 10 hours straight if we chose to. Not saying we should always do that, but we can do that when we need to. And we're excited about it with very limited distraction. So I think that part's been really good.
Yeah,
What is challenging is as a company grows, making sure that everyone is on the same page and that we're maintaining culture. So
yeah,
I can say, even for our team of AppSumo Originals, we have to make sure that things are very, very clear.
yeah,
And it's a good challenge to make sure things are very, very clear, because in person, we can be a little more lax with things, because if we need to go explain it to someone, we can just walk over and go to their desk and explain it in terms. Whereas online, we have to be very, very conscious of how we're talking about things and
yeah.
how we're explaining things and how things are coming across written word wise to make sure we're all on the same page. So, what we do with originals specifically is we have a meeting every single week with our AppSumo Originals division, and we have a very clear goal as well as key metrics.
Hmm.
And the reason this is so critical, not only for an in person business, but also for remote businesses or any types of businesses. But the reason this is so critical for us as a remote business is because it makes sure that every single person on the team is accountable to the same types of things.
Hmm.
So we could go to any team member on AppSumo Originals right now, and you could email them and you could say, hey, what's our goal? What are we working towards? and they should, I hope, but I'm very confident I can say this. They will be able to tell you what our goal is, and we're able to really kind of coordinate that effort. So
Yes.
as we think about the remote aspect, a potential con that we have to be aware of is that it can be easy for people to kind of go off and do their own thing and to be a bit distracted and to not kind of be involved in the day to day if they're not properly aligned with everyone else. And thankfully, we have an amazing team in the originals division that does a great job with that. So we don't have any concerns about that. But it is because from the very beginning, we set very clear goals and expectations and said, this is our goal. This is what we work towards. Every feature release we do, everything we come up with relates in some capacity to this goal.
Yeah, for me it's like I always been remote. So since I left Intel, I've been remote. My team is
Nice.
remote. My whole business structure is remote. So everything is remote. So for me, it's like when the COVID, nothing new. I keep operating as I was.
Similar for me, yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, no distraction actually. But everyone now sits at home. It's understandable, but people
Yeah.
realize that's also there are some pluses, some minuses. Of course, personal contact is important,
Yes.
and
Yes.
people are now craving for social interaction.
A
Yes.
100% agree.
Sitting at
Yeah.
home is also has its own downsides. Yeah, I'm sometimes I get buried away. My wife tried to pull me out and say, "Okay, let's meet, let's walk somewhere." So it's kind of sometimes it's not an easy thing, but
Yeah.
of course there are lots of pluses too. Yeah, you can work 10 hours straight, don't even notice that, and it's just like all work, 100%. You don't chit chat, you don't have a time for that. It's just no like coffee breaks and yeah, that's different environment. Yeah.
It's true.
But you mentioned about the features. You're talking about features. What are the planned
Yep.
features for AppSumo? Would be interesting to know. What are you planning? I mean, is any like major deviation, major improvements, major additions? I don't know yet. I mean, what else to improve? I mean, you kind of well-oiled machine is looking really good, is sleek, and is I don't know what else can you do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not too sure on the appsumo.com side. That's outside of my
How
purview.
about
So,
the Sandfox?
but I will say on the original side, kind of what we're thinking on originals is how do we continue to make SendFox and all our products
Yeah,
easier to use, right? And that is so critical, like we were kind of talking about earlier, Jen,
yeah,
where we have so many people who are trying to think about email marketing. And to your point, it's so overwhelming. And understandably
um,
so. I have a lot of people that reach out to me and they're like, man, I just don't know how to get started with email marketing. Or even for myself,
yeah,
when I think about other marketing channels like Facebook ads or things that I haven't done in a while, my first thought is, oh my gosh, this is going to take so much time and so much
yeah,
energy. So the question for every product we try to come up with is how can we remove some of those barriers to get people to be successful as quickly as possible?
yeah.
And for SendFox, I'll tell you our goal right now. Our goal is to get a certain number of people who have sent an email to 10 or more recipients within 30 days of sign up.
Hmm.
So, what that means is we want to make sure that people are A, getting subscribers or
Uh-huh.
uploading subscribers,
Okay.
10 or more, and B, using our product to send an email within 30 days of sign up. So when we think about all our features, we think about how can we make it easier for people to grow their audience and to communicate with their audience. And a lot of people think when they hear those things, oh, we have to keep adding features. We have to keep doing this. We have to keep doing that. But that's a big mistake. What happens a lot of times, and we think about way back in the day when Steve Jobs came back to Apple, his solution to solving a lot of Apple's problems was just cutting the product line, reducing the product line dramatically.
Yeah.
And I think that's an often forgotten thing for SaaS products or any type of business out there. Instead of adding things, how can we think about removing things or simplifying things or cleaning up things and polishing things? And that's been so critical for us.
Yes, and like for example, I totally agree. Like I heard this expression to make the product, I mean, feature rich and complex. It's not as it's not it's a lot more simple. It's a lot more complicated to make products simple, and that's for
It
me is
is.
also, I'm just thinking, okay, if on my product, what do I need to do to make it even more simple, simple? But at the same time, like for me, that does require I'm focusing on a blogger. Blogger needs a certain number of tools, like better writing app. It has to be the plagiarism need to be added, and it has to be the content management. It has to be like synchronization. You can see everything, and you can easy work with the content. But it does take toll as far as you're thinking about increasing the features, but at the same time you're complicating more. And once it's
Yeah.
complicating more, that's not an easy to step back and say, okay, it's about time to cut now.
Yeah.
But it has to be done. Would you agree with that? That has to be done. So how to make it
I agree.
simple? It's a lot more complex than going and say, okay, I'm gonna add this feature, add this feature. Easy to
Yeah.
add, not easy to subtract.
That's right. That's right. And it's a constant, it's kind of like meditation. When people
Yeah,
talk about meditation or mindfulness, it's a constant practice that is never perfected. And we've noticed that with product development as well. And it's really hard because we get people emailing us all the time and they're like, if you add this feature, I will buy right now. And a lot of these people are high volume senders who are like, I will pay you hundreds to thousands of dollars per month and transition everything over if you buy this feature or build this feature, excuse me. And it's very hard to say no to them, partially because it's just kind of innate, I think, within human nature to want to appeal and appease other people and make sure that everyone is happy.
yeah,
And then the other part of it is you have to have very strong conviction. We have to have very strong conviction because sometimes those people get really mad. Like we've had people say to us, if you
yeah,
don't build this feature for me, like you will fail as a business and your business is awful. And I'm going to MailChimp and I'm
yeah,
writing terrible reviews, blah, blah, blah. But conviction is so important in business because there's a balance between listening to what people say and kind of passing that through our own lens and trying to understand what are they really asking? What do they really want? What's the end result they want that we can potentially come up with an even simpler solution? And then there's a balance to saying no, because if we say yes to everyone, we're building a very confused product that has no identity, that has
yeah.
no identity.
Such a great advice. I'm just now. I think now this is the what the people. If people are listening, all the people and will be listening. That whoever SaaS builder, and there are so many SaaS building. I mean, people that want the product and want to accommodate all the features. Because I have so many times people ask me, "Oh, I need this, I need this." And my
Yeah.
mistake was in the early those few years what I built the product before. I listen everyone and I try to
Yeah, me
accommodate
too.
everyone. And you know, it's a
Yep.
mistake. And it's just a mistake. Sometimes you need to make a harsh decision and say, okay, as much as I want to accommodate this, you gotta like stop yourself. You stop yourself. You need to make the product simple. And simple
Right.
requires that certain features are nice to have, but some features are must. Keep the must, cut down the nice to have. And this
Yeah.
is important. When I ask people, is it really important for you? Can you live without it? Or really it's just okay, can you wait like for a few months? Maybe we can think about it. We can put in a roadmap. We can think about it. But if the people say, okay, maybe I can just get by for now. As long as they get by, that's already a flag for me. They might not be a
Yep.
must have. So
I
must have
agree.
is something that you think about, and of course you cannot accommodate everyone. But keeping it simple, it has a lot more value than. And I just had a conversation even yesterday. The customer talked to me and he said, um, "You have to keep it simple, even though it's maybe even my needs." He said, "My needs maybe I want this and this, but you tell me that you cannot do this and this, but you keep my primary features. I want them, and I want
Yeah.
them to be so slick and so good that I can stick with you. I don't want the other stuff. Just make it for most important stuff."
Yeah, absolutely. And very simple businesses can grow to very successful businesses. Very successful products are built from
Yeah,
simplicity in a lot of ways. But it's very hard. And I agree.
very
And we've
hard.
run into this with our business. And this is one of the things I've learned and I'm continually trying to get better is what are the most critical features? What is the noise we can ignore? And even deeper than that, when people think about features or when people ask about features, what are they really asking for? Because no one likes features just for feature's sake. Everyone asks for features
Yeah.
because they're trying to accomplish something. So when we think about marketing, when we think about product development, we're trying to get to more of the emotion or the want behind the ask. So they want to grow a business, they want to grow their audience, they want to build a newsletter simpler than ever before. And you'll notice a lot of the verbiage we use with SendFox is going for that underlying emotion. We don't just say things like, create an email today to email your audience. It's more along the lines of create a newsletter that's free, that's simple, grow your audience, build the business you've always wanted to,
Yeah.
grow your brand, communicate with people that love your product. So we're really going for more of that emotional pull. And I think that's really important for any business to keep in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. Now it's my task right now. I gotta sit down and think what I need to cut off, and it's
Yeah, me too.
not it's so not in it's so not easy. You spend an
Yeah.
effort, you build it, and then realize, oh, all of a sudden, it's just one extra feature. One is a little too much, and then you need to think, okay, what is going off? What I need to hide, and would you think that break it down this any application, break it down into like simple view and advanced view? Maybe some people will be okay with advanced view, but most
Yeah.
people are not. But how to break down, make it like simple view first and advanced, maybe set like in the settings. Would you consider like in the settings having one switch and saying, okay, if you're advanced person, go ahead and turn on the switch, then you can see everything there. But do you think it's a good idea?
That's a fun idea. I hadn't thought of that one before, but it does make sense. I'll tell you what we're doing at SendFox is another alternative. So, kind of like what you were alluding to with your business, we've realized some of SendFox is a little too complex. So, we do have Google Analytics tracking set up, and we do have, let's say, a lot of like SQL queries we can use to
Yeah.
understand which parts of the product are most used versus unused.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we're doing now, and I really like this part of the year because typically December is spent on really thinking high level and stepping back and making sure we didn't lose sight of the forest for the trees. So a lot of just 2021 planning, a lot of ideating, a lot of thought processes around our products. So as we go into December, we're going to start looking at features of SendFox that no one's using, that we have, that add technical complexity to the product, that are difficult to support, that might cause conflicts with other parts of the product. And then the second thing we think about, and I think this is really important, that is often overlooked, is what parts of the product do we just personally hate supporting? What parts of the product do we just personally think don't add value, we find so annoying?
That happens.
And
That
people have to
happens.
remember, we create businesses, we all create businesses because we want to do something fun and we want to do something special and that changes the world. So having to deal with features or things every day that we hate dealing with, that cause us headaches, is something that we're thinking about removing as well. And we're considering, and we haven't made any decisions, but we're going to start looking into
Never,
what
never
parts can be
thought about
simplified.
that. Never, but that's actually true because some things that's so annoying, and you think like, okay, if that little feature, it's like people are okay. One of the example, let's say I incorporated the keywords ideas for the search. I have a search similar to, I mean, competitive in the search with the phrase. So we have a search capability. You do the search, you put it in, we get the search 100 results, and we bring it in. One of the feature was there, as it says, keywords. Basically, what was simple, I was just trying to add an extra feature. Somebody asked me, I need the keywords ideas. Great, I'll
Yeah.
get the keywords ideas. Now people start coming out. Oh, where is my keywords? I want a keyword. We're not the keywords software. So, and that feature start to annoy me. People when asking me, once they ask me 10 times, where are my keywords? We're not the keywords research company. Go ahead and
Right.
get the SEMrush, Ahrefs. They are keyword research company. Or Kiwi Finder. You go get there. You bring your keywords. What we have just simple ideas. It's just a
Yeah.
bonus. Those bonus now cost me so much headache that I'm seriously thinking now removing it because it
Yeah.
causing destruction and causing destruction for me as well. It doesn't give us much value as I thought it would. So why keeping it? So in this case, I'm just thinking what I need to cut down, and cutting down one of the perfect examples that annoys me that people confusing research, keyword research with my just a simple bonus of the keyword ideas.
Right. It's so interesting. And I'll give you a real example too. And I'm just logging into one of our admin panels to make sure I can say this accurately. But here's a great example of why listening to customers sometimes is just a really stupid idea because most of us just don't know what we
Yeah,
want.
just yeah, that would be interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So here's a great example. For years, Jen, for years, we have been asked to add translation ability on King Sumo,
Uh-huh.
right? And we've historically not done this for a couple of reasons. One is everyone wants translation ability, but very few people in our theory would pay for it. And also, we have on King Sumo 140,000 users. The English speaking population of the world is 2 billion people. So we're very, very undersaturated in the market. There's a lot of room for growth. We're a US company. We have our laws and regulations here we need to follow. There are a lot of
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah,
Here's the thing, though. Yesterday, we finally bit the bullet and we had some free time and we found an easy solution to release translations for King Sumo, right? We found this easy solution. So I was like, okay, great. We have all these people yesterday that asked for translations on King Sumo. So I emailed all of these people yesterday and I said, hey, translation's ready on King Sumo. Here's a link to buy. Crickets. No one has bought. Everyone says they want stuff, but
yeah,
then when you're like, okay, it's here, give us money now, very few people do it. And I think that's why we have to be very, very cautious with decision making that we do. And this is a great example of something that literally happened yesterday, where thankfully it was easy for us to do. And technically speaking, there's not much of a hurdle. But for so many people having asked for so long, and it
yeah,
clearly, at least to this point, having a very limited to negligible revenue impact is pretty funny. It's a great
yeah.
example.
You know, one of the things that I know that people may ask, but until they open the wallet and pay for that, two different things. Two different things. You're saying,
That's
okay,
exactly right.
yeah, would you be willing to buy it as soon as I have this? Yeah, that's a different story. But say, oh, nice to have this. Can you get this? But okay, what if it costs extra money? What if it will be a different feature that will be incorporated but in a higher plan? If they're
Right.
willing to pay for that, that's a different story. But if they just okay, and but if it costs extra money, no, 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 I don't want it. But then in this case, why you want to introduce this, right?
Exactly.
This is
Exactly. And
for us people, it's so important to not like you have to cut down the noise and don't listen everything. You really need to pick and choose what you are building because you overbuilding and it's a grand mistake for everybody. You overbuilding too much and then you just complicate things and people get in and say, oh, a little complex, I'm getting out. So
right.
this is where the line have to be drawn, right?
It's so true. And I'll give you a great story that involves Chief Sumo Noah Kagan
Uh-huh.
and something he said to me that years later, about 2 years later, I will never forget, and I haven't forgotten. So about 2 years ago, as we were starting SendFox, we had this person who's very well known in the entrepreneur space. He does podcasts and has a very large audience size. And he's a friend of our brand at AppSumo. He's a friend of
Okay.
Noah's personally, has become a friend of mine. And he said, hey, I think you're really onto something with SendFox. I think you can be $1 million business. And when you're $1 million business, I'll interview on you on my podcast. And I was like, this is amazing. This guy has a massive podcast. He's so cool. I really admire a lot of what he's done. And I was telling this to Noah. And Noah's response is, but did he give you money for the product? Did he buy the product? And it made me realize in that moment that because he didn't, a lot of people will say really nice things about businesses. A lot of people will ask for a lot of features. A
Yeah.
lot of people will say you're doing something cool and that if you do this, it'll be even cooler. And I'm not going to buy until you have this feature. Or in the case of King Sumo translation, you're missing a huge audience size because you don't have translation. And then when you do that thing, or when you talk to them about, hey, can you put money down for this product? Can you put a deposit? We'll even give you a discount, whatever it is. The excuses come out. Oh, I'm not ready. It's not right for me. Oh, you know what? I just, now's a hard time. So, really, to your point, Jen, and I think it's such a good one. Money doesn't lie, right? The
Yeah.
revenue doesn't lie. The
Yeah.
wallet doesn't lie. So, you know, you're successful. And this is something Chief Sumo Noah talks about quite a bit. When people give you actual money, you know you have a successful business. But until people start giving you money, it's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, and true to my mistakes, the last few years have been an expensive hobby, but hopefully this one
Yes.
translates now in the blogly. We have a good traction and people are putting money, which is now to me is like okay, I think now it will work because this is
Yeah.
exactly I'm solving my own. Basically, I have my own pain and I'm solving with this app my own pain. But looks like the people are catching on and they think like I'm solving now pain of somebody else. And if they put in the money, that means exactly to me this product will have a way and will have a room to grow. That's the only one way. Otherwise, you listen to every possible wish. Wishes are good, but if there is no money, there is no indication that's actually gonna work, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And it does take time. And I think that's a great point. Even for SendFox, our first year, which granted we started in September of 2018, I believe now, although time, I forget kind of when's when, but September of 2018, our first year from September to December of that year, we did like only a few $1,000s in sales.
Mhm.
So the expectation of making millions in 2 months or 3 months or whatever people have is really unfounded. It took us
Yeah,
about a year until we grew a successful business. And then it's taken us 2 years till we grew what is a business that is able to support the team working on it.
yeah,
So there is that element of it takes time, but I do think to your point, there are milestones along the way. So I get my first customer, I get my first
yeah.
couple of customers. I'm seeing some promising signs with revenue
Paying
and I'm
customers,
seeing some
not free
things.
customers. You got the huge distinction
Right.
between paying customers and the free customers. Huge,
Totally.
huge difference. Somebody put in money, that means they really want it. So if
Yeah.
they don't put money, free customers, oh well, you can have a unless like a Facebook, different. Facebook, you have the billions of people who are free, but now becoming not free because they're gonna charge being paid by the commercials, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a great point. So
Just
true.
now we have almost read. I mean, we pretty much done. But just one question now: what's coming up
Sure.
on the Black Friday?
Oh boy. I think so. I could tell you what's coming for Black Friday, but I think what would happen is you would see in the camera behind me some ninja assassins immediately come in and just take me away to someplace you'd never hear from me again. So here's what I'll say.
Yeah,
The stuff for AppSumo's Black Friday is really impressive, and it's starting next week. So be
next week.
close to your inboxes. Check AppSumo next week. On SendFox and King Sumo, we're also doing something very exciting, and we're doing that on the technical Black Friday day. So we're doing it on next Friday. So keep an eye on AppSumo all of next week. Keep an eye on King Sumo and SendFox next Friday. And we have some really fun stuff planned. If you haven't already entered AppSumo's giveaway to win
Already did.
Noah's
Already did. I'm
Tesla,
looking. Am I eyeballing
there
for
you go, Jen. Good. So if anyone who's listening hasn't done that yet, that actually is going all month. So you have another 10 days or so to enter that. You can win Noah's Tesla. You can win $10,000. You can win a bunch of AppSumo credits. You can
Wow.
win an Oculus Quest 2. We're giving away a ton of stuff. It is 100% free to enter. And someone's going to win it. A few
Yeah.
people are going to
Is
win
it
those
is
prizes,
it a
actually. So it
special
could be
day
you.
when it starts, or is it like oh it's starting now? Or special day?
For the AppSumo deal, they'll email out when it's starting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say. I'll just be super cautious and not say exactly what day it's starting, just in case this is not public knowledge and I don't want to get in trouble. But they will email it out when it's starting. And again, I've seen the deals we're doing, and I wish I could mention them, but they are absolutely insane. There's some great deals, some
Okay.
let's say general favorites from the community, which will be very exciting to watch. And people are just going to go nuts and get insane deals that are the best deals of the year.
This is cool. I'm looking forward. Okay, it
You and
was
I both.
it was so great to meet you and talk to you, and I hope that people can listen and listen all the advices they get for this. Simplicity is the key.
It is. And thank you so much, Jen. I really appreciate it. If anyone wants to check out our brand, appsumo.com is our larger company. The ones that I'm in charge of, sendfox.com and kingsumo.com, as well as sumo.com and meetfam.com are the 4 originals. Would love to have people let us know what they think. And thank you again for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Mhm.